What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Project S4. As you can see, we got the motor pulled out of the S4. The big old automatic transmission still attached. I haven't even really got a chance to dig into this motor too much. I had some pretty cool footage of me pulling it out, but I unfortunately lost that phone, so we are coming to you live with a new phone. The process on removing this engine was not as hard as I expected. As you guys know, we did have the S6 that we pulled, a bigger chassis. I figured this would give me a little bit more trouble. Something that I did have to do that I didn't have to do on the S6 was drop this front subframe down a little bit. You can see we got the rear of it hanging quite a bit. I was able to loosen the front but leave the front attached. I'm hoping that won't be too bad to get everything realigned. But biggest thing, you can see how disgusting this engine bay is. So I was more than likely going to drop this subframe anyway. I'd like to do some stiffer bushings in it, give those 034 Motorsports a try, just see how that'll go. I do want to pull this out and clean everything up in the engine bay, but it wasn't too bad. We just pulled the axles, we disconnected the rear drive shaft and dropped it, and you can see there's really not too much that goes into holding this in. You got some fuel lines, power steering line, and I think that goes for the power steering cooler, and that's your actual feed for power steering, and then just the electrical for the starter and the alternator. So it really wasn't too bad. You can kind of pull the ECU out of there and everything just stays attached. I've never pulled a motor on a car that wasn't an Audi. I don't know if that's the same with all motors, but it makes it really, really easy to kind of pull everything out and just throw it on a pallet, which is awesome. So coming back to the bay here, one of the first things I think I want to do, I'm going to start on the chassis of the car versus the motor, because to be completely honest with you, I'm still trying to decide what direction to go with this. As you can see, all this oil that drained out on the floor, this wasn't from me pulling the oil pan or the filter or really anything. All of this came from this turbo side. So I'm gonna go ahead and assume that these turbos are bad. There's a little bit of shaft play on this side. The other side has no shaft play, but I'm sure it's not too far behind. These are the original KO3s, so I think the biggest thing will just come down to what turbo we end up doing. But that's as far as I've really got on the engine. It's still something I'm thinking about. If anyone has any suggestions, what I'm really thinking is to start a mild KO4 build, go with the OE KO4s from Borg Warner and just kind of build off of it from there. Still deciding if I want to tear this all the way apart and do rods with this motor, if I want to start over with a junkyard motor, hurry up and get this back in the car with a manual. We'll come back to the motor. I haven't even started planning on that. But what I have started planning on, I do have a list of items that I have kind of hand selected for the chassis of the car, at least in the front to start. What I plan on doing, I kind of want to strip everything out of here that I can, clean this up the best that I can. You can see that this car sat outside, sat in a hayfield for a little bit of time. That's why we got that down there. Dirt, this thing is slammed onto the ground with some blown out Bilstein coils. Not sure what model those ones are, but the plan is to kind of fully refresh everything under here. So we got the subframe. I'd like to refresh the subframe, mounting points in here, the bushings, get this cleaned up, assess for any possible rust. There was a couple spots on the bottom that it looked like the car had bottomed out and started to kind of develop a little bit of rust on the subframe. Now the actual frame of the car looks really good from what I've seen so far. We're going to strip away all this heat shielding and just kind of clean this up. I want to make it perfect from a presentation standpoint. But you can see what we have going on here from the suspension side of things. I want to go ahead and replace everything. I have no idea how old some of these control arms are. The car was pretty creaky when it was on the road with the automatic transmission. I know it's the driver's side shock here that's blown out. So we're gonna go and kind of overhaul all of this to start. Just, you know, replace everything that's attached to the knuckle, clean the knuckle up, throw new wheel bearings in, why not? Replace all of the components of this 5-point suspension. It's really not too pricey to do while you're in there, and then we can clean up this this wheel housing and get everything looking really, really good. I think it'll clean up really nice if we kind of just replace everything. Probably stay with the stock brakes for now. I'm not looking to do anything too crazy with those, and that's easy enough to upgrade when the car's done and on the road. That's not too bad of a project. Coming back to the engine, like I said, I'm not 100% set on what direction we're gonna go. There's a million different directions you can go with these 2.7s. I'm trying to narrow down what's going to be OEM plus, like something maybe a little bit more crazy than just a simple KO4. Trying to think if like maybe we even wanna go hybrids. I don't know. It's still something I'm deciding. One thing I know for certain is this automatic transmission is gonna go. I've already sourced a swap kit from somebody, which I will hopefully be picking up before the end of the month. So we can get started on stripping this motor down, but just because I don't really know how deep I want to go into it, we'll probably leave the heads on. I'd like to at least get everything off and cleaned up to the best that I can. We'll do the timing on it just to make sure that that's fresh, but the motor is absolutely filthy. You can see the bottom of the block here is just coated in oil. There's an oil leak somewhere. I'm not sure. You can see the turbo as well is kind of just completely coated in oil. So we'll start to strip this down in future videos. I think realistically where we're going to start though is in the car. But before we even do that, you can see I want to kind of get everything organized. That way we're not losing bolts and parts, and just get this garage cleaned up, and we can hopefully come back with you on some actual progress, show some video of us getting this engine bay transformed. That's what I'm pretty excited about. You can see how dirty that subframe is, but at this point I'm kind of talking in circles. We will reconnect with you guys in a little bit. Like I said, we'll get some video footage of stripping this motor down. I just realized I hadn't posted a video in almost a month. I think I put my last one out around Christmas time. So I just want to let you guys know I was still working on the car. Even though it's super cold down here in the garage, we're gonna get this done. The ultimate goal is to have this car done by April. That is the Wookiees in the Woods meet and get together down there in Tennessee, North Carolina. So that's what we're shooting for. We're gonna stay on top of this project to the best of our abilities. I would like to get started here and just start tearing things apart. But first things first, we got to get cleaned up. I will be coming back to you guys with a clean garage and hopefully a tear down of the front end suspension on this car. So if you guys like this project, feel free to subscribe. I appreciate all the comments, any suggestions, experiences you've had. This is my first time around with the B5, so let me know. I will talk to you guys later.